My name is Aoife O'Donovan. I'm a research psychologist working at the San Francisco VA Medical Center. So the San Francisco VA, where I'm based, it has close ties to the University of California, San Francisco. And so my appointment is as assistant professor at UCSF. And here at the VA, I study post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic stress and their effects on physical health. I grew up on a farm in Ireland, and when I was growing up, one of the things that was really important to my dad was that we wouldn't stress out the animals because it would have negative effects on their health. And in the case of the dairy cows on the farm, it would actually have negative effects on the milk that they produced. So I grew up with the idea that psychological stress would affect biology. And then when I started to study psychology, I realized that we didn't know that much about how psychological stress affects biological systems and affects health. So then I learned there was an area of psychology called health psychology, which was really had a large focus on stress and biology. And so I pursued training, a master's and a PhD in the area of health psychology, and mostly have focused my research on how stress affects the immune system, and most recently on how stress-related changes in immune system activity affect mental health, affect the brain, and affect physical health. I'm based at the San Francisco Veterans Affairs Medical Center, and so a lot of our work tends to be focused on veterans. And these individuals have been exposed to a lot of severe traumatic stress. That's stress that involves threat to your life or a threat to your physical integrity, to your physical well-being. When we're exposed to a stressful situation, our bodies respond very carefully to those situations. And what they tend to do, what you feel in those situations is that your heart rate increases, you might feel that your palms get sweaty, but at a level below your level of awareness, that biological systems are responding to the situation as well. And one system that's very responsive to these situations is the immune system. Most of the time in our evolutionary past, when we experienced severe stress, it came with higher risk for injury and infection. But nowadays, most of the stresses that we experience, the psychological stresses, don't come with the same risk for injury and infection. And so the response that we have, while it's very adaptive for our ancestors, may be less adaptive now. And some of those immune system changes have profound effects on our brain and also on the rest of our bodily systems, and can actually contribute to development maybe of post-traumatic stress disorder, of depression, and also of physical diseases. In a recent study, for example, we saw that Iraq and Afghanistan veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder had almost twice the risk for autoimmune disorders like multiple sclerosis, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and thyroiditis. A major motivator behind the work that we're doing is that we want to develop better treatments that might prevent or reduce some of the negative effects of severe stress exposure. We may actually be able to target those effects using psychological treatments. And so we have developed a mobile application for a smartphone. So this is an app that we've created with support from UCSF. And the goal of the app is to administer a type of training called attention bias modification training. And that training, the goal of that training is to reduce threat sensitivity. And we're specifically targeting this app at people with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's very exciting to think that something that we all choose to do, play, may actually benefit us in some way. We ask people to engage with this training every day for 2 weeks. And all of our participants so far have actually completed the program every day. And when people come back, they tell us they really enjoyed it. And it's just wonderful to hear that. And hopefully if the results support the training program, we could expand it out and start targeting different aspects of brain function. And in our case, what we'll be doing is focusing on aspects of brain function that are affected negatively by stress. There are two things I really love about my job as a scientist studying stress and the immune system. But I get to work with a lot of really enthusiastic young people who are also really excited about studying stress. And then the other thing that's really fun on a day-to-day basis is that I get to think about problems that are really the most interesting problems to me and try to figure out ways to solve them, to uncover how stress affects health and think about how we might come up with better treatments for people who are exposed to stress.